it's definitely more special playing them. You definitely, for me, I kind of lock it a little bit more. These are the games you want to throw in. You want to throw against these guys and kind of put your stamp on the game in a positive way.
Can you take us, let's start with just the leveraged moment of last night. Here comes Tony V to the mound, and he says, let's go to my other lefty. Why don't you come on in and face Shohei Ohtani? Take us through that at bat and then what happens afterward.
Yeah, I mean, look, I know when we play those guys, it's, there's a pretty good chance that most of the time I'm coming in a game, it's going to be around when he's coming up. So it wasn't surprising. Yeah, I mean, it's always fun. I mean, you get to throw against one of the best hitters in the sport. It's always kind of, you got to definitely lock it in for sure. And yeah, obviously, like, kind of an unfortunate way the bat went, fell behind. So it's kind of on me, and, I got the infield hit. That is what it is. But, I was happy to come back and get Tucker out after falling behind. So all ended well in the end. But yeah, I mean, it's always pretty special when you get to pitch against him.
Were you a little surprised that they went from lefty to lefty? I mean, Gage lefty on lefty for Shohei, but then Tony V goes to you in that spot. Was that something that was a little bit surprising to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think they still, it's not like they don't have faith in Gage, obviously, to get him out. And it's obviously, that's not exactly, it's pretty rare reliever wise, especially to go lefty to lefty. You'll see it every now and then, maybe a lefty starter to a lefty reliever if the guy's facing someone maybe the third time through. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty rare to go lefty reliever. But look, I mean, I think everybody, the history of what I've, done so far against him. I don't think it was super surprising on that end. I'm sure that they like the matchup on that front. So it wasn't too surprising.
What happened at the end of that Cincinnati series sort of feels like it's carried over to a little bit of a chip on the shoulder for the team that I think people and fans are really responding to. And obviously with the wins and losses, it looks like you guys are responding to it. Can you take us through what has taken place in that clubhouse since all of that stuff in Cincinnati?
Yeah, I think, look, sometimes it can take maybe just a little something that we feel is a little bit of a slight to kind of unite a group of guys. I think, as I've kind of been saying to other people, the more you can generally rally around one specific thing and one specific goal, you tend to play better as a team. That's just the truth behind it. And playing with emotion can be a fine line. If it goes too far, then you can kind of get out of control and things can snowball. But I think playing with that right kind of emotion, an edge, whatever you want to call it, where it allows you more so, I feel like it's just something that kind of has you focus in a little bit more, focus in on your at-bat. If you're a hitter, when you're on the mound, focusing in pitch to pitch. I don't think it's coincidence with how we've been playing since then. Offense obviously has really been heating up. A lot of guys putting together really good at-bats, streaming together these innings with a lot of hits and kind of putting up some crooked numbers, which is obviously, that's how you know an offense is clicking. And I think definitely out in the bullpen for sure, a lot of our guys have kind of been pitching with a little more of that edge, a little bit more emotion you see, and we've kind of been on a roll.
Is that something that Tony Vitello has instilled in the club, or has it just come about organically based on just the group of guys that you have?
I think it's more organic, but I'd be lying if I said, I'm sure teams can tend to take on the personality a little bit of who their manager is. That doesn't always happen, but I don't, he's obviously a fiery guy. He's very into it, can be a very emotional guy. And I think that can, rub off a little bit on us, but there's certainly not him coming in and saying, hey guys, we need to do this. We need to act like this. It's just kind of been happening organically, but, I think it kind of falls in line with maybe, how he is as a person. And I think it's kind of cool when you can take on that personality and kind of mesh well with your manager.
Erik, I'm not going to lie to you. When you closed out the last game in Cincy, I think it's my favorite moment of the season so far. Can you take us through it? What was going? What happened in your mind? And gee, Erik, what'd you say?
Yeah, I don't know if I can exactly see, but I think you don't have to be a Class A lift reader to know what I said.
Right.
Yeah, look, I it's just something that happened. As I said, I don't have any problem with Sal Stewart, and he didn't do anything that like made me say something to him. He just happened to be the guy in the box. And as I said, I said something that I don't think any hitter on the planet is probably going to like when you say that to them. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, I wasn't trying to be malicious, and I wasn't trying to like get a reaction out of him. If you watch back, I wasn't staring him down like after I struck him out and trying to like bait something out of him. It kind of just happened. And once he said something in reply to me, that's kind of when I flipped over and looked at him. And then from there, I don't even know what happened. I kind of just blacked out and started letting it fly. But, it is what it is.
You had guys in the Cincinnati dugout catching strays. I mean, they're just trying to pack their stuff up and go. And,
so good.
It's like you and you. I've got some words, but I just thought personally you were happy for your accomplishment. You ended the game with a strikeout. And I don't think that, Sal was appreciative of your exuberance. So I guess you could have walked away. But the one thing I've been saying to Mark, and are kind of in agreement, like this feistiness is kind of fun to watch.
Yeah. I think it's it's been fun. Like I said, it's not something that you really can force. It just comes out naturally. And but I think that's something if you kind of feel like you're in a lull or a little bit of a rut on either side of the ball, that's something that generally can work. It's not something I think you can try and force out for the whole season. You kind of got to ride it for what it is, and then you can kind of settle into what you feel like will be kind of the norm going forward. But for right now, it's like, hey, let's just keep riding it out.
Erik, beyond the obvious, I know they feel different for fans, but do games against the Dodgers feel different for you guys? What kind of emotions does this current Dodger team bring out in you?
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, I'd be lying if I said they didn't. They felt like every other game. I don't know. Some guys, I think, tend to go about it looking at it like, hey, it's just any other opponent. I kind of saw something. Walker was talking about, hey, they're just kind of like any other team, which is true in the fact that you can't just go in there and be intimidated, and you can't give them too much credit and be like, yeah, this team has blah, 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 this many MVPs, yada, yada. But I mean, for me, I would be lying if I said it's like every other game. It's definitely more special playing them. You definitely, for me, I kind of lock it a little bit more. These are the games you want to throw in. You want to throw against these guys and kind of put your stamp on the game in a positive way. So I always look forward to it. Honestly, I almost like it even more when we go there, just because like being in enemy lines and, a lot of, the percentage definitely there. It's definitely a lot of more Dodger fans, and you definitely feel like you're kind of in it. And that's something I feel like also can kind of unite a team when you kind of feel like you're in it together, you're behind enemy lines. So I love playing them. I love playing in LA. That's something I definitely don't take for granted, getting that opportunity.
Erik, speaking of lip reading, have you guys seen the video of Dalton rushing and what he said as Jung-Hoo Lee was still there at home plate?
Yeah. I mean, I think we've all seen it.
Okay.
I don't want to. Can't really offer too much input into that. I don't really know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to get myself in trouble.
No,
but
of course
I
not.
think we've all seen it.
Yeah, it's a giant Dodger rivalry. You're baseball players. People use the F word. It's I'm trying to figure out, is that a big deal? Does that bother you guys?
I mean, I think if it's something to do with like if a guy is potentially hurt and then you're saying what people might think that he said, I think that I would have a problem with that. I think if it's just kind of like, hey, it is what it is. Like if you get a guy out and something happens and you say that, like it's fine. But I think if it's like you negating or maybe you're disregarding someone potentially being injured, then I think like there's obviously that may be kind of drawing the line there. But I don't think we're reading too much into it.
What do you think of this new era of baseball where the old unwritten rules are kind of crumpled up and thrown away, where you can pimp a home run, you can celebrate a strikeout? Is that something that you enjoy the change of?
I mean, I probably would consider myself in between. I think there's still a line of like in the game when you do some of that stuff, if you're winning by a lot, down by a lot, and you're bat flipping, I think it's a tough look. But I mean, if the moment's right, I think it's fine. I think I'm biased, but I feel like a lot of times pitchers tend to get a lot more flack for like doing stuff when we strike guys out. And then hitters, it seems to be a lot more celebrated when they bat flip and stuff. But if pitchers kind of like celebrate striking out, you'll see a lot of guys getting upset about it. But so I don't really know. I feel like there's a little bit of a double standard there. But I mean, I think given if the moment's right, then I think it's totally fine to do.
I think that's a good point.
It's a great answer.
I think if you strike out Shohei, you should moonwalk, Eric.
If I knew how to, then maybe what if it was a big situation?
Or maybe you could mock his little hands over the head wiggle move. That's what I'd like to see.
Oh God,
Maybe.
yeah.
I'll give you maybe.